doctors don't know everything. It's hard to say that, but it's true. Oftentimes, like, they're only prescribing things with clinical data, like pharmaceuticals. Their licenses don't allow them to prescribe things outside of that kind of stuff. And they also don't necessarily have training in it, and they don't know about it, and so they won't speak about it. Doctors seem to ignore or dismiss PMS, PMDD, perimenopausal symptoms for a lot of different reasons. There's a lack of training in women's hormonal health, so medical education often gives minimal attention to the menstrual cycle beyond fertility in general. So hormonal fluctuations and their mental health impacts, especially related to PMS and PMDD, are undertaught in most programs.
Yeah.
And then symptoms are often misattributed. So PMD in particular can mimic anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorders. But those things don't just happen in the luteal phase. So you need to look deeper into that. And many doctors don't track the pattern of your cycle or the symptom pattern. Really, your cycle is your fifth vital sign. It'll tell you so much about your health once you start paying attention to it. And then also hormonal suffering has been normalized in our culture. There's societal belief that PMS is just part of being a woman, even when it's so severe that it causes rage or suicidal thoughts or physical pain. Like, I was taking the 20 Advil a day for my period, and like for many years, and it's not healthy, but that was what I was told to do. Women often feel gaslit or invalidated in those journeys. So I think a lot of times we think, like, if our doctor didn't tell us to do something, then we won't do it, or that kind of, thought pattern. But really, we have to advocate for ourselves, look beyond, what our healthcare system is allowing us to, this limited information they're giving us.
Are you a different person on or before your period? Do you take 20 Advil a day? Or ignore the crazy signs your body's giving you during your period because you think, who cares? I'm not trying to have a baby. If so, or if you know someone who lives through an exorcist moment during their cycle, this episode is for you. We are talking about very real shit on this show, and because of that, the success of this channel is all because of you. So if you haven't already, do it now, hit the thumbs up, or even better, leave a comment below or share, because it tells the algorithm to spread this message like fire. And if you're into awesome fucking art, everything we're talking about today becomes art. So you're gonna wanna stick around throughout the entire episode, but also follow me on social to see all the clips that are connected to the messages that are brought up today. Today we are chatting with trained herbalist, women's health specialist, and the CEO and founder of Ladywell, Ashley Rocha. Ladywell gives women the tools to care for their hormones and well-being through targeted life stage supplements, and has helped thousands of women regain hormone balance, fix PMS, improve fertility, and gracefully navigate perimenopause to live pain-free, fulfilling lives. Ashley has also given us the best discount code ever. Follow Ladywell on social media and use the code, all caps, FACEYOURSHIT20 for 20% off any supplements on the Ladywell website. Besides this lovely Monday that we've both been having, I'd love for you to share about how you've come to face your own shit, leading you to not only the work you do today, but just who you are.
Yeah, well, I think it becomes a time of self-reflection. I probably similar to a lot of people didn't face my own shit until I was like deep in the deep in the hole of it. But I began my company because of my own hormonal health struggles and where I ended up in my life. I ignored my problems for about 2 decades. Why I began Ladywell was because I was thrown into this cycle of really bad hormone imbalance. So I had bad cycles. I had PMDD, which is basically like PMS on steroids. So really big emotional swings, easy to anger. Every month I turned into a whole different person for 1 week, and then that week went away and I became myself again. And that cycle went on for about 2 decades. And so I was just dealing with this big PMS, PMDD, really big emotional swings, painful periods, like 20 Advil a day. I did try to remedy it by going to the doctor, but they prescribed hormonal birth control and SSRIs, and neither of those things really solved those issues of what I had. And I didn't look any further into it because I didn't know. I was told that PMS is normal, and so I thought I had, and I didn't know that what hormones were. I didn't know I had hormone imbalance. I just thought that was my personality, and that's what I was led to believe. And so it was in my mid 30s that I tried to get pregnant. I was having a hard time getting pregnant. And so when you want a baby, a lot of time will do whatever it takes. And so I started looking at my own hormones and started putting the pieces together and realized I had a hormonal imbalance. I went to a naturopathic doctor instead of a regular doctor, and they really helped me pinpoint what was going on. So I had estrogen dominance, but really my hormones were off, and there was these things I could do about it that I hadn't been doing for my whole life. I was put on a protocol of wonderful herbs, supplements, medicinal mushrooms, vitamins. I changed lifestyle things like food, the diet I was taking, less caffeine, less alcohol, those things you shouldn't be having too much of, more exercise. So those basic lifestyle improvements as well. And with that, I was able to get rid of my PMDD and I had more clarity in my life and I was able to improve my just like, everything about my life. My PMDD slash PMS affected my productivity, my relationships. I ended up getting a divorce at one point in that journey. And I'm sure part of it was my PMDD. And so getting rid of my PMDD really just changed everything and just understanding my cycle in general, understanding my hormones, my body, that was a significant improvement as well because you can, once you're in touch with who you are, you can, better plan around your schedule, your cycle and accomplish things that you want to accomplish without having your hormones get in the way.
Wow. There's so much you said there that, God, I totally relate, especially the thing about, yeah, I'm like, I would say it's like the exorcist for a week out of the month, every month. Like, it's like, yes. And unless you've lived that, it's very, very difficult for people to understand. And especially in the world that we live in today, and you touched on it a little bit, you go to the doctor because you're like, I'm a fucking like out of my mind on my period and I feel like I'm dying every month. I die every month and they're just like, well, have you considered just like having a baby? Have you considered, maybe just that it's a psychological issue, It's just, yeah, like, I have no words, but I am glad that this conversation is changing, not only because of conversations like this, but the company you created, Ladywell. Like, we would have died. We did to have something like what you've created available. And like, also, like you said, not only actual supplements and things to do, but the understanding, the education that it's not just like this is your burden and cross to bear through life and you're sentenced to this suffering forever. It's this not just a simple not understanding how your body works. When you don't know how to drive the car, like, of course you're gonna fucking crash it constantly.
Yes, definitely. And doctors seem to ignore or dismiss PMS, PMDD, perimenopausal symptoms for a lot of different reasons. There's a lack of training in women's hormonal health. So medical education often gives minimal attention to the menstrual cycle beyond fertility in general. So hormonal fluctuations and their mental health impacts, especially related to PMS and PMDD, are undertaught in most programs.
Yeah.
And then symptoms are often misattributed. So PMD in particular can mimic anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorders. But those things are just happening in the luteal phase. So you need to look deeper into that. And many doctors don't track the pattern of your cycle or the symptom pattern. Really, your cycle is your fifth vital sign. It'll tell you so much about your health once you start paying attention to it. And then also hormonal suffering has been normalized in our culture. There's societal belief that PMS is just part of being a woman, even when it's so severe that it causes rage or suicidal thoughts or physical pain. Like I was taking the 20 Advil a day for my period and like for many years, and it's not healthy, but that was what I was told to do. Women often feel gaslit or invalidated in those journeys.
So if you need a visual break, I want to talk about today's sponsors. Oh, by the way, it's me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I created this show. I created this show because I have lived it. I faced my shit and healed myself by unraveling all of the medical and pharmaceutical lies I had been told about my endometriosis and was able to heal myself after 17 years of debilitating pain. My experience inspired me to literally live my art. So not only did I create this podcast you're listening to right now, I first created an ongoing art series about it called Every Phase. All of the artwork you see in my clips and within this episode is from my Every Phase series, which will span for 13 years. The pieces illustrate how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. So the artwork shows what's happening in the brain and the body during each phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life. This episode directly connects to this piece. I put a link in the show notes, so check it out when you get a chance. It represents the follicular phase, and it's titled Hanshase Shonen, a Reiki symbol that serves as a bridge for distance healing. This piece is an original cyanotype, and it's made with the sun, so it cannot be reproduced. And there's also an original artist's proof, which is what I used to test the actual making of this piece. This is available as well, and I love artist proofs, or some people call them test prints, because they are a low-risk, great way to own a completely original piece of artwork that no one else in the world will have for a significantly lower price than the actual masterpiece. The accompanying story and poem illustrates the relationship of the masculine and feminine polarities, highlighting our misrepresentation of the feminine or our relationship with receiving. Just as the Reiki symbol Hanshase Shonen serves as a bridge for distance healing, this idea serves as a bridge to our next phase. In our next episode, Ovulation, where I will be demystifying the masculine and feminine polarities, which have nothing to do with gender, and how they impact sexuality and energy, as well as the distortions around them, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about nowadays. Particularly the feminine, since almost every word in our English language used to describe something feminine is also used to describe someone as weak, especially body parts. And pretty much every feminine word is also used as an insult for something else. The follicular phase is where the follicle, the egg, forms, which causes estrogen to increase in your body, which leads to ovulation. The higher levels of estrogen lead to the uterus producing a thick lining for the egg to implant there. Your body is encoded with the creative process happening inside your ovaries during this phase, the follicular phase, via your hormone patterns. So if you're interested in that, you're going to want to see my Every Phase collection, because I am actually living the art, literally. So it's about way more than just healing. The writing and the art discuss truth, freedom, our current healthcare and financial system slavery, as well as the way out of it. You can be the first to see the latest piece and get all the details by subscribing to my Substack at anotherfingartist.substack.com. I'd love for you to share about this unique approach that you've created with Ladywell. What makes you guys different than some of the other women's wellness supplement companies? And also, because there's a lot of beliefs already out there about supplements in general. And I think we talked a little bit about this, in our pill for an ill society, think, oh, okay, I'm going to go the natural way. I'm just going to take a couple supplements of ashwagandha or this or that, and like, poof, bam. So chat a little bit with us about your approach to that conversation.
Yeah, well, I think there has been a general misconception that natural solutions or supplements aren't effective. And I think that's part of just a misunderstanding in America. I think other countries don't have that as necessarily. There's so much money in pharmaceuticals, and they try to brainwash us in a way to think that a pharmaceutical is really the solution to everything. For example, like PMS, if you take a pharmaceutical, you're just masking symptoms. A lot of times these pharmaceuticals are just treating the symptoms, and then they can cause other side effects. And supplements and natural solutions are also effective, and using lifestyle changes are effective as well, but we're not really given those solutions and taught that information when we go to the doctor, or when we're young. Like, we're not taught about our cycles and how to treat ourselves. And there's a lot of reasons why people don't think supplements work. There's been a lot of poor quality products in the world, low potency, cheap fillers, bioavailable forms. And so that leads that kind of thought pattern. You also have to take supplements daily, consistently for a while. You can't just take, it's not a pharmaceutical. You should need to take them daily. And adaptogens take 3 months to reach their full effect. So you'll start to feel the effects slowly and gradually, but you need to work it into your system in layers upon each other. There's just unrealistic expectations for instant results in our culture. Like we want everything to be instant. And then we take the wrong supplements for the wrong things. And then there's also a lack of lifestyle support. So you can't just eat such a bad diet, not exercise, just sit at your desk all day and think like one supplement is going to change things. You need to really think about your health holistically. Supplements will be very supportive in that journey when you are eating healthy and being healthy. And they'll really move the needle a lot when it comes to that. So you want to find the right product with the right dose. And what really differentiates our company is the formulation. So I started this company because I wanted to create efficacious products. I created Ladywell because I found supplements in these plants and these formulas that work so well for me. And I started giving them to my friends because I realized they all had these similar health journeys of their hormones and they work so well for them. And what I wanted to do was bring that to a larger audience. And the formulations I have created, I work with a team of doctors that specialize in different things. So fertility, perimenopause, PMS, reproductive years. And they look at formulations from the lens of Eastern and Western medicine. I like to bring a lot of different diverse viewpoints and formulate from both of those perspectives because there's such wonderful herbs, adaptogens that Eastern medicine really brings in. American medicine doesn't really think about or consider valuable. And also I pull in ingredients that have clinical data behind it. So I have clinical studies that go to back up the claims of helps relieve mood swings and things like that. So creating an efficacious formula is super important. And then how you formulate is really important as well because you need the right doses of ingredients. Like you can't just sprinkle in something, it'll do nothing. It needs to be the right dose and the ingredients work well together is really important. There's something called herbal synergy. It's the concept that certain herbs work better together than they do alone.
Right.
But when combined, their active compounds can amplify each other's effect and support multiple systems at once and help reduce side effects. So say one herb gives you a lot of energy and maybe too much energy. Another herb can be a calming herb and help counteract that so it puts you at the right level. And so it'll bring out different qualities and different balancing. You want to really think about that when you're formulating. So a lot of supplement companies will just throw like a couple herbs and a vitamin in there and call it a day. And I'm not saying that those things won't help you, but that's not going to help you as much as a thoughtfully comprehensive, robust formula. We like to really include a lot in our formulas, and it can be expensive for us. So we don't create cheap formulas for us. Like we price them really well for what's included because I want to make things that are accessible but also efficacious. So there's a little fine line that you have to dance there. But yeah, it's important to have bring in a lot of different things because we're also busy in this world. And when I was on my hormonal health journey, I was taking 20 different supplements a day, like tinctures, piecing them together. I knew it wasn't sustainable. I know it's not gonna be sustainable for other people. So when I went to formulate, I really thought about creating a formula that could do a lot within one dose or a lot of impact, a little bit of formula.
I love that you brought that up, especially in regards to creating these supplements for specific issues, right? So because I know the journey of piecing shit together as well and taking 20 tinctures and this supplement and seeing if that works and all of that. And you're right, it's not sustainable at all. And I remember on my journey and educating myself in this conversation, one of the things that struck me is how just mystified and bullshit literally the vitamin supplement world is. It was the B12 conversation. So it was nature made or something that I was taking at the time. It was cyanocobalamin, which is actually, I found out later, they extract from feces and essentially resell it to us instead of the B12 derived from methylcobalamin. You familiar with this conversation? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of those. I just thought it was a really good illustrative kind of story to illustrate your point that they're not all created equal, that you do want to seek out some legitimate, what are they backed by? Like, how are they sourced? Most of the things at the grocery store are like these cyanocobalamin, or like I just call them now like shit derived, because they're literally derived from shit supplement.
It's definitely cheaper, less bioavailable, and can be poorly absorbed as well as being shit derived.
Yeah, listen, that could be a whole other show.
Mhm.
It's wild. So let's pretend we could go back in time and we went back to where you were in the beginning of this journey, not only with Ladywell, but taking responsibility for your health and PMDD. What would your advice be to that person now?
Well, I have sympathy for myself because I didn't know what I didn't know. You can only do so much with the information you're given. I wish I would have I wish I would have gone to a naturopathic doctor sooner, though I did need the resources to do so. And it was easier for me to ignore my PMDD than to try to really fix it. And often because, and I think this is common with your cycle, often because you change for a week or you have a period and like for a week and painful, bloating, whatever it is for you. And then it goes away and it's so easy to be like, okay, that was last week's knees problem. Now I'm totally fine and normal. So it was just, I didn't deal with something until it was right in front of me until I wanted to get pregnant. Now I have two baby boys and that's wonderful.
Oh,
But yeah, it was always like a future me problem or a last week me problem. It was never me a problem now. So it took me like having a real thing that I wanted to accomplish to fix that. But also it was just a lack of education of understanding that I even can do anything about it. The
yeah.
problem with PMDD and PMS is it's a bit of a shame spiral because you turn into this person, you act in certain ways, like you send maybe an aggressive email or yell at your partner, and then the next week you're like, oh my God, who was that person? That's not me. So I just lived in this shame spiral for 2 decades, and it really affects your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. Who really am I? Am I that person or am I that person? And so being diagnosed with PMDD and understanding what that is and understanding my hormones, it was a lot. It was really eye-opening and really nice for me because I was able to realize that person wasn't me and give myself a little bit more grace and be kinder to myself. And then also plan my life around my periods. Like I don't have PMDD anymore, but I still think about my cycle and I definitely track my cycle and I know when it's coming up. I know I'll have a little bit less energy, be more introverted. And that's just a normal part of your cycle. I won't have period pain. I won't have huge mood swings anymore, but I'm aware of my cycle and I'm aware of my body. And I look out for those symptoms because I am prone to have hormonal imbalances having them in my whole life. So I'm definitely very much trying to always upkeep my hormones and keep my stress levels in the right spot. And that's I take my daily hormone balance powder every day because it is important to try to avoid an issue before it starts. And also my supplements have stress support in them. And like we all have stress. And so you can't avoid these things. I'm a mother of two young kids. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. Like stress is everywhere. So I'm
Wow.
trying to avoid getting on this emotional roller coaster before it starts is my plan.
Wow. God, thanks so much for sharing that. I, I so much resonates with what you said, especially the fact about shaming ourselves for not having it all together. I feel like that's really when a large part of healing actually occurs. When it's not just not having any pain, it's being okay in the face of that, with not having your shit together. It's that level of grace and acceptance that, okay, I know this wasn't me. And the fact, like you just said, in regards to fertility, we all came from someone with a period. Give each other some fucking grace. We exist because of this cycle, every single human on the planet. So it's a sacred thing to connect with and to know about. And not only is it sacred, it's necessary for survival. So let's say there was someone out there who's listening that has Maybe they think they have PMDD from some of the things you've described. Is there something specifically you guys offer that you could recommend to them?
Yeah, PMDD, well, to diagnose PMDD, first of all, there's no blood work you can do. It's just
Right.
tracking your symptoms and, yeah, identifying through your symptoms with your cycle. So that's the first step. And even if you have PMS or severe, I recommend definitely looking at your lifestyle. Stress is bad for hormone imbalance in general, eating correctly. So I added more protein to my diet, more vegetables. I decreased the caffeine I was drinking every day. Like I was drinking so much caffeine and less alcohol. And so those things will help you. And then also my daily hormone balance is created just for that. So it brings in adaptogens, functional mushrooms, amino acids, vitamins into one formula. And that helps with the stress support, the hormone balance, helps you have more regular cycles if you're having irregular cycles. Even if you're not trying to get pregnant, having an irregular cycle or having bad, like really long cycles or skipping your period, that's a sign that something's off in your body. And once I said the fit vital signs, so you want to look at your period. Your period should be relatively regular and healthy, and that's a sign of your overall health as well, whether you're trying to get pregnant or not.
I'm going to take this time to thank you for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself by listening to this show. Because this is more than just a podcast, it is a movement. And if you're not a member of this movement yet, what the hell? Become a member. For as low as $5 a month, it helps you out so much. You get access to exclusive art, get questions featured on the show, and so much more. Just check out the link in the show notes. Even though I was lied to for years by doctors promoting Big Pharma, I was able to find experts and practices that helped me achieve what I thought was impossible. This show introduces those people and practices to you. So now we're going back to the show. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions or billions of people, what would that billboard say and why?
The first thing that came to mind, which I don't think I would go with, is doctors don't know everything.
So true. So true.
It's hard to say that, but it's true. Doctors are just people and they only have a limited amount of training. They have to know so much about so many things. And women's health had been deprioritized for so long. So, doctors will not prescribe supplements to you. If you go to a naturopathic doctor, they will. But oftentimes, they're only prescribing things with clinical data like pharmaceuticals. Their licenses don't allow them to prescribe things outside of that kind of stuff. And they also don't necessarily have training in it and they don't know about it. And so they won't speak about it. They won't speak about things they don't know about, of course. So I think a lot of times we think if a doctor didn't tell us to do something, then we won't do it, or that kind of thought pattern. But really we have to advocate for ourselves, look beyond, what our healthcare system is allowing us to if this limited information they're giving us. I think we're all coming to a point where we're realizing our healthcare system is broken. I can't even find a general practitioner right now for the life of me. It's just so hard to find a doctor. They're all so overworked, and you really have to advocate for yourself and look for solutions to your health beyond what's just right in front of your face.
Oh, yeah. And I believe that's changing as we speak. Literally, this conversation, what you're doing with your business is helping to change that, so that when people go to the doctor with these issues, they're not told, oh, it's all in your head. Like we were just discussing, this is how life is created through women, and through the mitochondrial DNA is how we track all of our ancestry and all of our lineage. The father literally contributes zero mitochondrial DNA. That could be a whole other episode too. That's a different show. But it's the truth. There's so much value in really addressing this and not just having it be, okay, well, last week, God, thank God I survived that. Okay, on to the next, and the next 30-day cycle, and the next 30-day cycle, because healing, and this is more on a spiritual level, but healing this in ourselves and our own cycle, it helps all women. Not only does it help our own family, our own lineage across time, it helps all women. It helps the world because we're what life comes through.
We're lucky because we live in a time where my supplements are formulated by doctors, and I have a medical board of wonderful women doctors that help create amazing products. And so there are these gems in the world, and with telemedicine, we can start to see these people more. So like it was so isolated where naturopathic doctors or women who specialize in fertility, but also helped through supplementation. Like these people exist now, and they're easier to find. And so
Yeah.
we're lucky that at least we're living in a time where, as you're saying, the conversation is literally changing as we speak. We have access to these resources now, and you can see these people a lot easier. The sad part is it's expensive. It's really expensive to go to naturopathic doctors. The women on my medical board, to go see them for an appointment is just very, very pricey, and you need to go see them for several appointments. And so it's really for like people with a lot of disposable income, and that's the sad part about it. And that is also a reason why I created Ladywell, is to create accessible products that are based in a lot of background on what women need. So if you have symptoms of PMDD, perimenopause, you can start to use supplements, because when you go to the doctor, a naturopathic doctor, they'll prescribe you these same things. So you can have access to solutions without having to have a deep pocketbook, because we live in a world not everybody has a ton of money.
Oh, yeah. And it's so unfortunate, but I even think that is changing too, because a lot of the reason is because insurance companies don't cover, and there's all these different things that they now have to take care of because it's not supported essentially by the healthcare system and all of this money that people are already paying. So it's a big ass mess, but I 100% think that we are on the road to solving that.
Yeah.
Truly. And even in the money conversation, it's also when I saw my naturopath, functional medicine doctor, and I'm very lucky, there are like chiropractors I have found that also have like functional medicine background, and that kind of combination usually are, I have found, more affordable to go to and will work with you. There are people, but then on the other side of that, it takes less visits. Whereas like your regular doctor it's in their best interest, as well as the pharmaceutical companies that are like paying them to promote certain birth controls. They get, bonuses for different drugs that they push, different vaccines that they push, all of that. They're never going to stop seeing you. So it's like when people bring up that conversation, and of course, then there's like products like educate yourself for free and see what works for you and your body. And that's more of the kind of DIY, do it yourself, but it's still empowering because what other choice do you really have? We're not like, no one's really going to do it for you. Even if you're on the Western medicine sick care, I call it the long-term murder plan, because they want to keep you alive just enough for this financial piece.
I'll say more in the long run if you don't address whatever your hormones, for example. If you don't take care of your fertility when in your 20s, when you're not trying to get pregnant, when you get into your 30s and you decide you want a baby, you might have to go get IVF if you've been ignoring your hormones, and you haven't been getting periods for years, and that stuff just snowballs. And you have to unravel it before you can really say get pregnant. And if you end up doing IVF, if you don't have a great hormonal balance and foundation, even your IVF is going to be harder. You're going to be pushing up against a wall, and you might not get pregnant in your first round or second round of IVF and have to go to multiple rounds. If you just solved your hormonal issues prior to that, you might be able to conceive naturally as well.
Oh, yeah. So it's like either way, the education piece is part of the health journey if we're actually looking to solve your problems.
Right.
You have to. So I think it's so incredible what you created. And I love the fact that you have this board of doctors as well. I remember us chatting, and it was like, one is like, Ayurveda, and then there's Chinese medicine, there's functional medicine, and there's these different viewpoints all in the naturopath world, because there are a lot of different ways of approaching the same thing, but they all seem to intersect And I love that you have really packaged that to serve other people that like, hey, you don't have to do all of this legwork. Here's something like for this. You don't have to take the 20 tinctures a day and throw shit against the wall. We've done that and we've looked at that. So it's really amazing. The other amazing part is we are now at the finale biohacking with art question. Are you ready? Yes. Lovely. So, if you could describe the power of the Ladywell approach and create it as an art piece, how would you make it and what would you choose?
I really believe in the power of the plant world and looking around us. Nature has so much to offer, and we're all disconnected with nature in a way. We're sitting inside our houses a lot of the time. We don't know what plants around us even do. We don't have to forage for our food anymore. And I do think there's an emergence of interest in herbalism, which is great. So, I mean, if I was to create an art piece, it would all be built of plants and mushrooms and flowers and botanicals and be fully natural and made of amazing plant life. I just don't think we recognize the power of plants, and I think as we eat our food, we know kale is good for us, we know broccoli is good for us because we're told that, but we don't think about like beyond that. Because natural botanicals, like why wouldn't those be good for us as well? It's just because it's not ingrained in our culture and we didn't grow up with that information, and we're not passed down that knowledge and wisdom. And so yeah, that's my answer.
I love that. And I was just saying, I say it a lot. And I'm like, Mother Nature knows everything. So why do
All those pharmaceuticals are derived from nature as well. Don't get it twisted. Nature's the best.
she know? She knows everything. Why do we go anywhere else? Because they don't. It's like, it's crazy. It has been so real chatting with you today. We're going to list all of the stuff we've talked about in the show notes, but I'd love for you to tell people what's the best way to connect with you to learn more about what you do.
Yeah, you can find us on our website, getladywell.com. We made a discount code for your audience. It's FaceYourShit20. And you can put that in for 20% off any supplements on our website. And then follow us on social media. We're at all the social media places: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest. Our handles Get Ladywell, and we are all about education. Education is the foundation of understanding your health and your hormones and making changes. And once you have that education, then you can really change your life. So follow us there. We post educational clips and we post good content as well. So good to be.
Love that. Best discount code ever. Face your shit 20. You're going to be healing just from typing that out. It's going to be the beginning. Just face your shit 20. What a gorgeous gift that Ashley's giving us. And again, we're going to list all of these resources we chatted about in the show notes. I hope everyone is able to take away something from this Ladywell conversation today to help them go out, face their hormones, face their pain, face their shit, and heal themselves. And remember, as always, the truth will set you free. We will see you all next time. Bye. If you liked this episode, or if you think this show would be useful for someone else, the best way you can show your support is to share it on your social media outlets with family and friends, or leave a review on podchaser.com, comment on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. You can also pick up a signed copy of my book, Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself, on my Instagram at Meredith W. Ochoa. Thank you so much for listening and for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself.